the affordability versus wants and needs.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast. Today, we're talking about affordability versus wants and needs when you're purchasing a home. Me and Alicia here, we're just going to chat a little bit about the change in direction when it comes for a buyer purchasing a house now versus what it was maybe right after the crash happened in '08 and even before COVID. I mean, our market has changed so much in the last decade. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So let's start with affordability. So we are definitely two different generations.
Yes.
What is your mindset behind what affordability is, just in general?
Affordability is what you can afford and be comfortable with.
Yep.
And how, in the current market, what that looks like for you.
Absolutely. So I did look up the definition because that's me. I'm the fact checker of the group. Affordability index is a measurement of the average person's ability to purchase a particular item, such as a house in a particular region, or to afford the general cost of living in a region. And back in the 80s, when we hear all of our parents talk about oh, well, at least you're not buying when it's 18% or 17% or whatever. Well, that was back in the mid to late 80s and it was an 18%, but we're at the same affordability rate now as we were back in the day.
Right.
So, I mean, that's super eye-opening.
It is. And something else that we have to consider is, yes, you have the interest rates, but you also have the value of homes and how that's going to affect it.
Yeah. And so obviously we want our index for affordability to be at 100. And I think last time I looked at like 76 or something like that. And we have to now take what the average salaries are in both, nationwide and city and kind of go, okay, well, this is the average salary. If I want the average price house, what salary do I need to make? And so we're going to talk we're going to go a little nerd for a second.
Yeah.
Average nationwide salary is $59,428 a year. And then the average salary here in Tucson is $50,758. So pretty close.
Yeah.
About what, $8,000 difference right there?
Yeah, not a big jump there.
And so when you're talking to buyers, what is the first thing that pops out? What kind of house do they want? Like, what is it? What are the basics on it?
Something that we like to identify is what are your actual needs? What are your needs at that time? Wants are important, but sometimes, with where we are in the market, you may not be able to get every single want that you want.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but when you're talking to an average buyer, when you haven't had that conversation with them and you're like, hey, just off the cuff, what do you want? What's typically what they say?
They want the biggest house. They want the pool. They want all the bedrooms. We all have that, dream house expectation. And I think that's the first thing that comes to their head.
Because their parents bought that 3-2, 1,500 square foot house on a quarter acre lot. And they spent $200,000 on it.
Yep.
Well, what's the average? What are you finding is the average price for a 3-2 single family home here in Tucson?
So the average price for a 3-2 single family residence right now is $351,000.
Okay. And if we were to put the normal conventional 3.5 down at the current interest rate, which is about 7.8% the last time I looked, about how much income would an average person need to make to afford that house?
So the average person would want to be making $135,000 a year to be able to live comfortably.
Oh, that's a big number.
It is, yeah.
Considering we just talked the average nationwide and local salary being 50 to 60.
Yeah.
So that's
more than double.
Yeah, more than double.
Yeah.
So, wow. So then what are you seeing for something like 150? Because if we use the normal mortgage calculator, that comes to about what, $59,000 a year. So about where we need to be. is about $150,000 house. So what are you seeing that's currently on the market here in Tucson for $150,000?
So right now in Tucson for 150,000, you're looking more at the 2-1 bungalows. You're looking at manufactured homes, townhomes, or even a condo.
Gotcha. So we're talking about having a buyer who's hearing from their parents and their friends who bought pre-COVID,
hmm
pre-whatever, that, oh, I bought this 3-2 for 150 on this beautiful lot.
hmm
And they're coming in and talking to a real estate agent, and you're like, well, if I want to spend the same amount of money, I'm only getting a 2-1, or I have to share a wall with somebody, or I don't
hmm
even own the land that I'm purchasing.
Yeah,
That's got to be rough to
it
hear.
is. Yeah, and it could be a little discouraging, but with the market, it's continuously changing, and we're seeing differences now, and we just have to be able to adapt
Absolutely.
to that change.
How are you making it a win-win for your buyers that are, say, wanting a pool, but they can't have one, but
hmm
they maybe can afford to live in a townhome community or a condo community?
Yeah. So if you're looking for a pool, but you're just not able to afford a home that has one, another thing you can consider is if you're in a condo or a townhome, they might have a community pool. So if you're okay with having the community pool for the time being, that could be a benefit for you.
Hey everyone, we want to interrupt this episode to let you know that we are a Keller Williams Southern Arizona franchise.
We are also realtors practicing equal housing. Now let's get you back to the podcast.
We just gave some real rough statistics.
Yep.
You're probably thinking out there, what am I going to do? I want to buy a home. I know that my affordability is not where it needs to be, or at least where it was.
hmm
What does that mean that I need to do in regards to changing my mindset? Because I still want to buy,
hmm
but how do I still feel like this is a win for me?
Yeah. So you want to identify needs and wants. Your lifestyle now is not going to be the same in 10 years. So find something that you can afford now that meets, your needs and, satisfies your lifestyle at this time. And in the future, you can always upgrade. You can always get something different. Something else to consider is, you may want a pool, but maybe you can afford, a manufactured home with some land where you can build your own pool. So keeping an open mind that, it might not be the perfect home now, but you can always work towards making that your home.
Awesome. And the other, what's the benefit of purchasing a home? I know a
hmm
lot of us real estate agents talk about that benefit of owning a home versus renting.
hmm One of the biggest benefits is you own that asset. And when you make, your mortgage payments, some of that's going towards your principal balance. So you're paying down that asset. And at the same time, your value of the home may be increasing as well.
Awesome. And I mean, the big one, rent goes up.
Yes.
We were literally just
Yeah.
talking about rent goes up.
It does.
Typically, mortgages don't go up unless your taxes or your
hmm
insurance go up.
Right.
And if it is, it's a small increase. It's not
hmm
as big as the rental increases have been
Right.
recently.
And it's more likely that landlords are going to increase your rent because at the end of the day, they want to get the paycheck. And if the market changes and goes up, they're going to take that to their advantage and you're going to see that increase.
Absolutely. And we've talked about that in other podcasts.
Yes.
So if someone's really interested in learning a little bit more about that, they can see one of our other podcasts, and we'll link that information down below if that's something they're interested in. So now we've talked all these stats, and we did talk a little nationwide, and we did talk a little bit about city.
Mm-hmm.
When we're trying to explain to our buyers, I mean, and even our sellers here, when you're looking at stats, would I want to look at something super nationwide, or would
Mm-hmm.
would it be better off for me to look at or talk to somebody that knows real down gritty
Mm-hmm.
local stats?
I would suggest local stats because, what's happening in Tucson could be completely different to Washington, Florida, like any other state. Even when you're looking at Tucson and you're on the north side of town or the east side of town, you may even see differences there.
So sort of like a weather report. Like,
Yes.
I'm not going to look at what it's happening in New York if I'm living
Mhm.
in Arizona, and I'm not going to look at what's happening up in Phoenix if I'm living in
Mhm.
Tucson. So
Right.
making sure that I'm getting uber specific about the
Mhm.
area and the stats that I'm looking at to make sure that I know the person that I'm talking to,
Mhm.
hopefully being your real estate agent, is giving me the super local Uber stats so that I know what's going on here rather than just
Yes.
listening to the nationwide.
Right. Yeah. And you're exactly right. Connecting with the professional agent that works in those particular areas, they're seeing the changes and they're going to be able to, help guide you in the right direction.
Absolutely. Well, it was great talking to you.
You as well.
And we just want to let everybody out there know, if you are looking for a real estate agent or you're looking for someone that can give you stats a little bit cleaner for your area and you don't know who to reach out to, please feel free to reach out to us. We can get you connected with a good real estate agent that can get you the right information. We have a visitor here today. So we have learned that family does not just consist of kids, it consists of dogs. So the chewing in the background is just a little bit of our office dog.
Yes.
So, well, thank you guys for joining us here on the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening and watching the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast here with the Tom J. Krieger team of Keller Williams, Southern Arizona. If you are interested in buying a home, selling a home, or even investing in real estate, we have 5,000 agents across the country that we can connect you to. If you need any free resources, feel free to check out our website at www.thetjkteam.com. We hope you have a great day.